Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Maimuna Adewale from mayade.co, where I teach curvy women how to own their modest style through DIY fashion. If you're new here, please click the subscribe button. I'll love you guys to come on and join the family and just see what I'm doing around here. So in today's video, I am going to be doing a tutorial on how to make hijab friendly face mask. Yay! This is my first ever tutorial and I am starting off with face mask. I don't know about you guys, but I don't really like the face masks that go right behind the ears. I prefer ones that you can just slip right over the hijab, and it's much easier than having to, you know, try and fiddle around and try and put your hijab around the ears. So I have got two face masks here that I have done that are pretty hijab friendly. The first one is this one, which is an elasticated one. So it just goes right over the head like this, and you can adjust the elastics like this as you want. That is the first one. And then the second one I have is the tie back one. I've just basically have 4 ties. I have 4 ties here, and what you do is just basically pull it over and then you will tie it like so, however you wish. And I find them so comfortable. I can easily breathe inside them and it's so much easier to wear. Makes my life so much easier. I've also added pleats at the side of the mask we are going to be drafting. So we'll be drafting our own face mask according to our own measurements, and I think that's so much easier to do. I did try using some of the free face mask patterns out there, but they really didn't fit my face properly. I found it really hard to breathe in them. So I found drafting my own pattern was a lot easier. You're only going to need 2 measurements to draft this pattern, and it's really super easy. The first measurement you are going to need is from the top of your nose all the way down to your chin. And then the second measurement you are going to need is across your nose from one ear to another. So get those 2 measurements and come and join me, and I'll show you how to draft your own face mask. See you guys soon. Bye. Okay, so what you're going to need for this face mask tutorial is a pair of scissors, fabric and paper scissors. You're going to need a curved ruler and a straight ruler. You'll also need some paper and a pen. For the mask, you will need some elastic. I've just got some 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch fabric. Elastic. And you will need any fabric of your choice. So let's get started. First of all, I'll be showing you how to draft the pattern. So we're going to take our paper, open it up, and we're going to need 2 measurements for the mask. You're going to need, like I explained before, you will need your measurement from the tip of your nose, or from the top of your nose down to your chin, and then the measurement across the nose from one ear to the other. So take those measurements, then write them down. My measurements for that is, we're going to call them A, which is the tip of the nose, is 6 inches. And B, across my nose from ear to ear, is about 5.5 inches. So get those 2 measurements. Then we are going to plot these measurements here with our straight ruler. Just draw a horizontal line, vertical line, and then another horizontal line going across. We're going to plot A measurements here and then B measurements over here. So my A measurement is 6 inches and I'm going to plot it right here. I'm going to put a point there and then I'm just going to draw a line straight across. And then my B measurements is 5.5 inches. I'm just going to plot that there. So then we're just going to take a couple of plots. First, we're going to find a midpoint for the on the A measurements for our 6 inches. So my midpoint is about 3. Is at 3. I'm going to draw another line across right there. Then I'm going to come up about 4.5 inches from my B point measurements, which was 5.5 inches. Let me just write that here so you can see it clearly. 5.5, and this was 6 inches. So I'm going to come up at 5.5 inches right here. Sorry, 4.5 inches. I'm just going to come up and draw my line. And then I am going to come in on the horizontal B line. I'm just going to come in. I'm going to come in about 5/8 of an inch, and I'm going to plot the line there. And then on the top line, on my top horizontal line, I'm just going to come in 1.5 inches, and I'm going to plot the line here. And then up here, I am going to come in just 1/4 of an inch and just put a dot there. So now all we have to do is just connect these points, taking our curve ruler. So the first point I'm going to connect is here. I'm going to join this point over here to the midpoint here. Then I'm going to join the midpoint over to this point over here. You can also freehand it if you don't have this ruler. That's perfectly fine for you to freehand it, the measurements. And just make it as curved as you can here. Yep. And then I am going to connect the point over here, the top of my horizontal line here, to this point here. I'm just going to connect those points. And then I'm going to connect this point here. Let me write it 5/8 of an inch. I came in here, and here I came in 1.5 inches. Then I'm going to connect my point here where I came in at 5/8 of an inch to the 1/4 inch point that I came in here. You don't have to do this, is optional actually. You don't have to connect these points. You could draw just leave it as it is and just draw a straight line, but I like to just have a little bit of a curve so it sits nicely on the face. And then that's it. That is our face mask pattern. We're going to take this, cut it out, and then use this as a template to cut out our face mask on our actual fabric. Okay, once you have all your fabric cut out, I have my fabric cut out here, and I'm going to be making 2 different face masks. And the only difference is, like I said before, is in the ties. So the first one I'm going to be showing you is how to make this face mask with the ties here. So for this one, all you're going to need to cut out is 4 bias strips, 4 pieces of bias strips, which I have here and I've already cut out, measuring 1.5 inches wide and 10 inches long. I'll put the measurements on the screen. So once you've cut that out, you're going to sew your bias strips, fold them in half, right sides together. You're going to sew them at 1/4 of an inch all the way down, and then you're going to close up one end so that we can flip this bias strip inside out. So you're just going to sew 1/4 of an inch from one end closed all the way down, making sure to leave one end open. So we're going to do that for all 4 pieces of bias strips. Okay, I have my 4 pieces of bias strips which I have sewn at 1/4 inch. Actually, I didn't sew at 1/4 inch, I sewed it at 3/8 of an inch. So just sew it at 3/8 of an inch all the way around. And then remember to close one end and just leave one end open. I just wanted to show you this handy loop turner that I purchased from Joann Fabric. It comes with 2 pieces. It's like a hollow tube piece and then this metal piece, and it has different sizes too. And it is so much easier to use this to turn loop fabric inside out, I have found, than using these regular loop turners that I have used in the past. I'll just show you how I use it now. Let me just cut off the ends and trim down this piece here. So all you have to do is basically put the hollow piece right inside, push it all the way down to the end. Then you're going to take the other piece and then push that. Try and push it through the hole, and then all we're doing is just pulling it. We're doing is just pulling it down over that middle piece. Once you got it, and it's so easy. I got it right now. All I'm going to do is just start pulling until I see it come out at the other end. So it's come out now. Pull that out, and then voila, it is done. It is so much, I found this so much easier to use than the other pieces. I wish I had it to show you. It is so much easier to use, I find. So this is all my pieces now. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to do this for the rest of them. Got one, just going to do it for the 2, and then come back and show you what we're going to be doing next. So once you have all your 4 ties done, give them a good press, and then take your mask fabric pieces. So I have 2 fabric, this is the fabric, and then 2 lining that I'm going to use. What we're going to do, we're going to go over to the sewing machine, and we are going to sew right sides together. We're going to sew right along here 1/4 of an inch seam on both the lining and the main fabric. So just take that over to your sewing machine. So 1/4 of an inch there. Once you've sewn 1/4 of an inch, then give both pieces a good press. Open up the seam, give it a good press, and then come back and I'll show you the next. Make sure to back stitch at the beginning and at the end. Okay, once you've done that, you have sewn a 1/4 of an inch, take this to the iron, give it a good press, both the lining and the fabric. So once we have pressed our lining pieces and our fabric pieces open, we are now going to start joining the pieces together. Just going to open it up, and first of all we're going to take our 4 pieces of bias strips that we made earlier, and we are going to attach them to the right side of the fabric. So we're going to attach each one to at this end, and then another 2 at the other end. So I'm just going to come down like 1/2 inch and then place a pin there at one end, and then I'm going to come down another 1/2 inch from the bottom, come up another 1/2 inch from the bottom here, just eyeballing it. You can use like a seam gauge to measure it correctly if you want. So these, remember to pull it on the right side of the fabric, and then take the other 2 pieces and do the same thing. Then I am just going to sew a basting stitch just to secure the ties. So I'm just going to sew a basting strip stitch just to secure the ties here. So I'm just going to change my stitch to a long length and then just lower the tension here. I'm just going to secure it. And then do the same thing to the other end, secure the ties at the end of the mask. So once you've done that, you have both ties secured nicely at the end. We are now going to take our lining piece and join them right sides together. We are going to be joining our lining pieces right sides together. Just take our lining pieces, join them right side together. Make sure you have the top end know which one's the top and the bottom end, and you just take it and join it. Line up the seams. And make sure your ties are inside, because we are going to be flipping it inside out. So just make sure to put your ties inside. pin. So you're going to pin all the way around, and we are going to leave an opening. I'm just going to leave my opening right here. You can leave it anywhere you want. Maybe up here. I think I'll leave the opening up here. So just put some pins to show where you're going to start and stop, because we're going to be turning it inside out. So pin all the way around, and then we are going to sew a 1/2 inch seam all the way around, making sure to leave an opening at the top here to flip the fabric inside out. A 1/4 inch seam all the way around. Make sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end, and change your basting stitch. I always forget to do that, to a regular stitch. Make sure your ties are securely inside as you go around. Okay, now you can just take your opening and then flip it round. First take the ties out. Once you've sewn your half an inch seam allowance, you're now going to just trim the corners. So that when we turn it inside out, we get a nice sharp point. So just trim each corners, go as close as you can to the inner corner here, if you can. And then we are now going to flip it inside out. First, I just like to remove the ties. It makes it so much easier to pull it out. So I try to get all 4 ties out. And then I'll just start gently pulling it inside out. And then you can take your point turner just to point those inner corners out a bit. As best as you can. And then once you've done that, we are going to take this to the ironing board and give it another good press. Once we've given it a good press, we are going to just trim any flyaway stitches that you have. Okay, I've given it a good press. Now, like I said before, I am just gonna do a little pleat here, maybe like half an inch pleat on both sides. One here, and then I'm going to do another one over here. Then I'm going to sew a top stitch really close to the edge, so it's like an edge stitch. Or okay, so then we are all done with our first hijab friendly face mask with the ties. You can give it another good press, and then I'll come back and show you how to do the second version of the hijab friendly face mask. Okay, we're done with the first version of our hijab friendly face mask. This is the one with the ties. Now we are going to do the second version, which is exactly the same as this one. The only difference is we are going to have elastic ties like this one here. So for the elastic ties, I have cut out another 2 pieces of bias strips, but this time they are measuring 1.5 inches wide, but then they are measuring 20 inches long. So I've cut out 2 of those, and then I am going to cut out 10 inches long elastic. So what we're going to do first of all is sew our bias strips. Again, we're going to sew right sides together, fold it in half. We are going to sew a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way around, closing one end again. Come back, flip that out, and then sieve our elastic through these bias strips. So once you've done your bias strips, which I have here, although I told you to close this was just so that we can easily flip it inside out. We are going to cut the end off so that we can sieve the elastic through. So we have our elastic right here. We're going to take just a safety pin, pull it on one end, and then just start sifting through the elastic. And then just take a pin to secure the other end so it doesn't get lost, and then continue sifting through. So once you have it through, take off the pin. Then you're going to take another safety pin and secure that end. You're going to do the same thing to this one, and then we are going to go over to the sewing machine and just tack that elastic down to the end. Just make sure the elastic's secure and just sew it down on both ends. Okay, so I have my 2 elastics done, and I have secured it nicely at the sewing machine with a straight stitch on both sides. Now, and I've also gone ahead and sewn my 1/4 inch seam allowance on both my fabric and my lining. Now all we're going to do is going to do it the exact same steps as we did for the other tie face mask. The only thing, we are using elastic now. So we are going to attach this the same way, taking one piece of elastic. We only have 2 pieces, and we're going to attach them straight across like this. So we're going to attach one 1/2 inch down from the top. Again, I'm just eyeballing mine. Make sure that the elastics are the same side, and then another one, the other side, we're going to attach a 1/4 inch from the top here. Take the other elastic and do the same thing, a 1/4 inch, sorry, not a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch from the bottom, and then take the other side. Make sure that they are facing the same side. It's annoying when it's like twisting around. And we're going to also attach a 1/2 inch from the bottom. Then we are going to sew a basting stitch again, just to secure the ties at the end, and then we are going to take our face mask and join it right sides together. Remember, we are also putting this on the inside, so we are attaching the ties to the right side of the face mask. And then we are just going to go ahead and pin. Once we've done the basting stitch here, then you can go ahead and pin your fabric all the way around. Remember to leave another opening so that we can turn it inside out. So I'm just leaving my opening at the top. You can leave it at the bottom too, wherever you like. Just make sure to leave an opening. Pin this all the way around, and then you're going to sew a 1/2 inch seam allowance again. And then once you've done that, we are going to just follow the same steps as we did for this face mask. Okay, so that's it. I have gone ahead and flipped my fabric inside out and sewn a top stitch all the way around. It's about 1/4 inch top stitch all the way around, and then I am all done with the second hijab friendly face mask. So that is it, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. You have 2 different face masks that are hijab friendly and easier to wear around with a hijab. And if you do make them, please make sure to tag me in your makes. I would love to see them. They are so easy, so super comfortable to wear. And I'll see you in my next tutorial. Thank you guys. Bye.